You know Nikola Tesla, right? The guy who basically invented the modern world? Well, what if I told you that some people believe he wasn't just in contact with our world, but with another one? Was his mind just that brilliant, or was he a channel for something else entirely? Let's dig into one of the greatest mysteries in the history of science.
So let's start with the man's own words, because this is where the mystery really kicks off. He wasn't just noticing some static. He put it in writing that he thought these disturbances might be due to intelligent control. And right there, that's our starting gun.
All right, Section 1, the mind of a receiver. Before we get into any of the wild stuff, the alien signals, the secret weapons, we have to start with the source of it all, the absolute enigma that was Tesla's mind. We gotta ask, was that genius all his?
I mean, this is the kind of thing that sounds like it's straight out of a movie. Tesla could literally design, build, and run diagnostics on incredibly complex motors entirely inside his head. He could see every part, rotate it, take it apart, and put it back together, all without touching a single tool. For him, this was totally normal. For the rest of us, it's a level of mental engineering that scientists are still trying to wrap their heads around. And that incredible ability, well, it brings us right to the heart of the debate. Was he just a human savant, a 1 in a billion brain? Or was his mind something more? Was it, as some people seriously believe, acting like an antenna, perfectly tuned to receive information from some external, non-human intelligence?
So, Section 2, a signal from Mars. This is where things really start to get interesting. We're moving from the power of his mind to a specific moment in time, a moment where Tesla himself was convinced he had made contact. Let's look at the case file. In 1899, at his lab in Colorado Springs, Tesla started picking up these weird, rhythmic beeps from space. After studying them, and I mean really studying them, he came to this wild conclusion. They weren't random. He was certain they were intelligently controlled messages from another planet, probably Mars. Now, of course, mainstream science has a much more grounded explanation. He was likely just one of the first people ever to detect natural radio waves from deep space. But for Tesla, this was it. This was contact. But you see, that signal, that was just the tip of the iceberg. It was the spark that lit the fuse. From here, the evidence trail leads us to some of his most incredible and mysterious projects, where the line between science fact and science fiction gets really, really blurry. First up on that trail is his magnificent and ultimately tragic Warden's Cliff Tower. And the question this thing raises is absolutely fundamental to this whole mystery. Yeah, nobody can seem to agree on what this thing was really for. The official story is that Wardenclyffe was just a massive but failed attempt at a global wireless telegraph system. But then you have the other theories, and they're way out there. They suggest it was something much more profound, an energy device on the same level as the Great Pyramids, designed for purposes we still barely understand. Okay, next up in the evidence locker is an invention so powerful Tesla actually believed it would end all war, a peace weapon. But was it a real possibility, or was it just fantasy? So he called it his Teleforce weapon. But the newspapers, oh, they give it a much catchier name, the Death Ray. He claimed this thing, a particle beam, could create a defensive wall so powerful it could vaporize entire aircraft fleets from hundreds of miles away. The problem is, a working prototype was never found. So for the skeptics, it's just a tall tale from an inventor who was past his prime. All right, now this might be one of the most compelling and suspicious parts of the whole story, because it's not about what Tesla did while he was alive, but what the government did the second he died. Think about the timing. It's 1943. We're in the thick of World War II. Tesla dies, and almost immediately the FBI swoops in and seizes everything. All his notes, his research, his plans. Decades later, a huge number of those documents are still classified or have just vanished. You have to ask yourself, why? Why would the government go through all that trouble for the so-called ramblings of a fantasist, unless, of course, there was something real in those papers, something revolutionary? So let's zoom out a bit. People who believe the extraterrestrial theory don't think Tesla was just a one-off. They argue he was a key piece in a much bigger, much stranger puzzle of events happening throughout history. And when you lay out his life on a timeline like this, you can really see a story forming. It starts with him receiving what he thinks are alien signals. Then he starts building a potential transmitter with Wardenclyffe. Then he designs these incredible exotic weapons.
And it all ends with the government swooping in to lock it all down. It really paints a picture of a man who is dealing with some seriously powerful knowledge. And this, my friends, is where the rabbit hole goes deep. Because from here, his work gets tied to some of the most infamous, unexplained events of the entire 20th century. Theorists start connecting all these dots back to Tesla. Like, what if that mysterious Black Knight satellite is what he was actually hearing back in 1899? What if the massive, unexplained Tunguska explosion in Siberia was actually a test of his Wardenclyffe Tower gone wrong? Was his research secretly used in the legendary Philadelphia experiment? And maybe, just maybe, did his missing papers help scientists figure out whatever it was that crashed at Roswell? These are the huge questions that keep this whole theory alive. Okay, so we've looked at the signals, the wild inventions, the government secrecy, and all these crazy connections. Where does that leave us? What's the final verdict? Let's break down the two sides of the coin. It all boils down to this. On one side, you have the skeptic's view. Tesla was a genius, no doubt, but an eccentric one who probably just misinterpreted some natural radio waves and maybe, exaggerated his claims a bit in his later years. But on the other side, you've got the believer's view, that Tesla's story shows a clear pattern of a man who tapped into some kind of advanced knowledge that was either given to him or that he rediscovered from a long-lost advanced civilization. So where do we land? Well, the conclusion isn't a hard yes or a hard no. The verdict is possibly true. Look, there's no smoking gun, no definitive proof, but with so many weird coincidences, so many unanswered questions, and the very real actions of the government, you just can't dismiss the whole thing out of hand. You see, Tesla's legacy is so much more than just the alternating current that powers our world. He represents that fuzzy line right where science and myth intersect. His work forces us to ask tough questions about what's really possible. And it suggests that maybe, just maybe, we haven't heard the full story yet. And that's the thing. This story isn't over. It leaves us with one last question for you to think about based on everything we've just gone through. So what part of this whole crazy story grabs you the most? Is it the idea of him picking up signals from Mars in his lab? Is it the dream of Wardenclyffe Tower giving free wireless energy to the entire planet? Maybe it's the death ray, that weapon that could have changed history. What about the missing FBI files and the secrets they might still hold? Or his obsession with the numbers 3, 6, and 9, which he believed were the literal keys to the universe? Whichever it is, one thing's for sure, the mystery of Nikola Tesla continues to spark our imagination.